Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome you all in the second session on scaling techniques. I once again invite Dr. Meena ma'am to deliver lecture on scaling techniques. Please, ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, madam. Good afternoon to everybody. Good afternoon to everybody. First of all, I am thankful to PI of this project, Dr. Pundir sir, their team, Dr. Misra madam, for offering me such a very good topics, scaling technique part 2 and attitude scale. Say all of you, we know that attitude is positive or negative feelings towards an object. Attitude is a hypothetical construct, a variable that is not directly observable. We can't observe our attitude, but it's measured by an indirect means, such as verbal expression or overt behavior, and attitude are considered to be such variable. So let us understand three components of attitude are. First one is affective or emotion. As we see some roses near our emotion are and our feeling are very pleasant, but when we see some stuff on the besides of road, our feelings are different. So in one first component, we have seen that how our emotion work on the object. And based on that, we are reacting on that. And second one is cognitive, that is knowledge and belief. If we have a knowledge on particular subject, then we believe that yes, it is right or it is wrong. But if we don't have enough knowledge, not much, but enough knowledge towards that subject, then we are blank and we say that, yes, I am negative, I am not much positive. Or if you know something, you can say that, yes, I am positive. Third component is behavioral, that is action. When you are seeing, observing something, and then without thinking, you are acting on that, that is the intentions, that is also a part of a component of our attitude. All three components mix with together, and then we are become the positive or negative towards the subject. So certain definitions are: psychologists define attitude as a learned tendency to evaluate things in a certain way. This can include evaluation of people, issue, objects, or events. A sociological definition of attitude looks at the verbal expression as an intention to act. An attitude is a mental position with regard to a fact or state or a feeling or emotion towards fact or state. Regarding consumer attitudes are composite of consumers. First, belief about
Okay, we have some technical disturbances in the voice, so we are taking care of that. We will be back in in 1 minute. And if you have any questions, please put it in the chat box. Utilize that chat box to keep your questions rather than asking for attendance link. that would be great, because people used to go for a survey and they come across various problems. So it is required. There are many problems, and you may must be having many questions. So this is a platform where you can clarify all the questions. So start putting questions, whatever you have faced during your survey time, and we will ask those questions from the expert. Please utilize that chat box for asking questions. Okay, ma'am is back again. She will continue.
स्लाइड बदल गई ना था ऊपर में तो रहेगा स्लाइड So sorry for disturbance. We are continuing with the three components of attitude. First one is affective, second one is cognitive, and third one is behavioral. As in affective, if we see some things, we are either pleasant or we are not pleasant. Say, for example, if we are seeing some roses, we are pleasant, our mood is pleasant. But if we are seeing some stuff on the roadside, we are not pleasant and our mood is not proper. So in this way, affective feeling or emotion can play a role on the attitude of a person. Second one is cognitive, that is knowledge and belief. If we have enough knowledge, then we are positive towards that subject. But if we don't have enough knowledge, then without knowledge, we can always saying that no, it is not proper for me and I am not positive towards that subject, or it is not my belief that one can do this for a positive side. Third one is behavioral, that is action. When without thinking, sometimes on affective or cognitive part, we are directly action on the subject. So that is the our intention that we have a directly action on that either positive or negative. So with these three component attitude are observable. Say Edward Ale in 1957 identified several ways in which the attitude are studied. Number one, comparison of attitude of members of different groups. You can compare that attitude of members. Second one, the way in which the attitude are developed, how attitude are developed. Third one is problems of attitude change and the manner in which new experiences modify existing attitude. Fourth one, relation of attitude with other variables. Fifth one, studying the influence of attitude on such psychological process as learning and remembering, perception, reasoning, and thinking. And last one is the method by which attitude are measured. So with this, attitude can work on number of things. Now the attitude scale. An attitude scale is a questionnaire designed to produce score indicating the intensity and direction of a person's feeling about an object and event. As we see that attitude is a quality, but to measure the attitude, there is a need of some scale, which is the part of questionnaire designed to produce score and which indicate intensity and direction. Another one, an attitude scale is a tool prepared for the purpose of measuring people's attitude to an issue. Say, for example, how satisfied are you with either product, service, company, overall? say here 5 continuum, that is very satisfied, satisfied, neutral, unsatisfied, very unsatisfied. Score is given 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. But how one can satisfied only by giving product? So there is need to develop the scale on the product which define the product description. Second one is service. We base on the word service, we can't say that their attitude is positive, or you have to develop some scale on service. And third one is company overall performance. That is the way that on the word you have to over to Snehal, madam.
We will be back in a minute.
So now continue with the attitude scale. An attitude scale is a questionnaire designed to produce score indicating the intensity and direction of a person's feeling about an objective or event. Say, for example, attitude is a qualitative measurement, but to quantify that attitude or quality, we have to give some score on the scale, and for that there is a development of attitude scale. So for example, how satisfied are you with? Very satisfied, satisfied, neutral, unsatisfied, very unsatisfied. Scores are 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 respectively. But by describing only the product, service, and company overall, we can't measure the scale. So you have to develop on the product, on the service, and on company overall. Then total of that, we can say that, yes, I am satisfied with, very satisfied with, I am neutral or unsatisfied or very unsatisfied. In this manner, attitude scale is developed and measured. So general criteria for editing of attitude statements. To develop scale, you have to frame out certain statements which is called items as per Likert and as per Thurston. So when we are framing the statements, we have to consider certain criteria, and with that criteria, you have to frame out your statements. Number one, items should be a series of statements, not question. You can't ask the questions. You have to frame out just based on that question, one statement. And on that statement, they can give their responses, but not frame out the question. Second one, avoid statements that refer to the past rather than the present. In past, you can't measure attitude. In future, you can't measure. It's a present feeling. It's a present emotion. That's why you have to frame out your statements in present. Avoid statements with multiple interpretation. In statements, don't give number of interpretation that respondents can't respond your statement. So in that manner, you give only one interpretation for one statement. Avoid statements that are irrelevant to the psychological object under consideration. Those who are relevant only to the topic, then include that statements. Otherwise, don't put irrelevant topic on the statements. Fifth one, select statements that are believed to cover entire range of affective domain of the interest. That is the feeling. What is the feeling of that particular object? You have to mention in your statements. Sixth one, keep the language of statements simple, clear, and direct. Avoid words that may not be understood by the respondents. Seventh one, statements should be short, rarely exceeding 20 words, not more than that. Eighth one, each statement should contain only one complete thought. Ninth, statement containing universals such as all, always, none should be avoided. In 10th, words such as only, just, merely, and others of similar nature should be used with care and moderation. 11, statements should be in the form of simple tense rather than compound or complex sentences. Say step followed in development and implication of attitude scale. Here is common chart, that is you have to select some statements. You have to select some statements and discuss with the experts that whether by including these statements one can measure the attitude or not as per the Likert. But in thrust on, you give all the statements to the judge. For that, you have to request panel of judges that whether the statements are included for the to measure attitude or not. And then based on that, their judgment, determination of scale value and quartile value is measured with the help of formula. Here the scale value, S is the scale value, is equal to lower limit of the scale where the median falls, plus 0.50 is a median, minus sum of proportion below the interval in which median fall, divided by proportion within the interval in which median fall, multiply by 1. 1 is the interval between the continuum. That's why it is common for all the statements. In this manner, 75th centile, 25th centile measure, and difference between them will be your interquartile range. And where the median value is greater than the quartile, then their statements are selected, other are rejected. In case of some of the statements where the median value is same, but quartile value is differ, in that case, lower quartile value statements will be selected and other are rejected. Then whether your scale is have a reliability or not, here we have used split half reliability, that your statements will be divided into two order, that is odd and even, and with the help of Rulon formula, it will be calculated. And then finally, the validity, content validity of the score, that is discussion with specialists or experts that whether the scale is valid or not. Finally, all the statements are implicated on the basis of scale in the 5 continuum, that is strongly agree, agree, undecided, disagree, and strongly disagree. This is given by Likert. So this chart is a combination of Thurston and Likert. So let us see one example. I have drawn one example how to develop the scale to measure attitude towards agro-based enterprise. First, you have to decide what is the determined area. For that, you read subjective part of agro-based enterprise. That is the what is the essay of agro-based enterprise and why you are selecting to develop the scale attitude toward enterprise. Say, for the example, fast altering of Indian agriculture, emergence of number of challenges in agriculture. Those are degrading natural resources, increasing fragmentation of land, growing competition in agricultural marketing, fewer development of rural agro-based industry. Number of challenges are there to develop the scale towards the agro-based enterprise. Some are given here. You can add more than that, but you write the essay on first agro-based enterprise as a subjective part, then frame out from the statements that subjective into objective part. So of late is being extremely realized that agricultural diversification standouts as a promising alternative for generating additional income and employment in rural areas through agro-based enterprise. Agro-based enterprise consume large quantity of agricultural production. To know existing sensitivity of youth, systematically constructed and standardized scale was realized to develop. This is the reason why the scale is developed. In that regard, it was decided to develop and standardize the scale to measure attitude toward agro-based enterprise. So let us see how research methodology work on this scale, that is agro-based enterprise. Scale product method was used, Thruston and Likert technique, statement collection. Initially, 38 statements were collected, editing as criteria laid down by Edward, and finally 26 statements were selected for opinion. Analysis of statements in order to judge. A panel of 50 judges were requested. Initially 38 statements were collected, out of which 26 were selected for the response of 50 judges in 5 continuum: strongly agree, agree, undecided, disagree, and strongly disagree. And determination of scale value with the help of this formula, scale value will be measured. Say lower limit of the scale in which median fall plus 0.50, it is the common for median or scale value, minus sum of proportion below the interval in which median fall, divided by proportion within the scale in which median fall, and multiply by 1 is the interval. Again, I am repeating because this is the method by observing one time you can't remember. So again, I am remembering this part, quartile value, that is 75th centile minus 25th centile. And finally, out of 26 statements, only those statements were selected whose median value were greater than quartile value. When a few statements had the same scale value, the statements having lowest Q value were selected and other are rejected. How it is, let us see. Say in the table, frequency distribution of the summary of the judgments made by the judges on 5 categories on the for statement number 2. Here judges are 50. First row indicates the categories, that is in 5 continuum. Second row indicates frequency of the responses collected from judges. Third one is proportion. Fourth one is cumulative proportion. So let us see the value that out of 50 judges, 4 were strongly agree towards the statement number 2. 12 were agree towards the statement number 2. 10 were undecided. 20 were disagree. And 4 were strongly disagree. This is the frequency made by the 50 judges. Now proportion. Proportion is frequency divided by number of judges. So we have a 0.08 for strongly agree, 0.24 for agree, and 0.2 for undecided, 0.4 disagree, 0.08 for strongly disagree. Now cumulative proportion, how it is measured? Total of previous column. Here previous column value is 0, that's why total is 0.08, but here in this column, previous value plus 0.24, that is 0.32. So in this column, cumulative proportion will be 0.32. Same in the manner, plus 0.2, so 0.52 in this column, and 0.4 again total of this one, so 0.92 in this column. And finally, cumulative proportion of strongly disagree will be 1. So in this manner, frequency were calculated, and for the all the statements, this is the example for the statement number 2 only, but you have to calculate for all the 16 statements in this manner. So now applying this value to the scale value, with this lower limit of the scale in which median fall. How it is calculated? 50% of 50 is 25. 50% of 50 is 25, where the 25 numbers are placed, say 4, 12, 10, here they are 26. So in between 2 and third column, it may be fall in between. That's why lower limit of the scale is 2.5. Again, I am repeating, 50% of 50, that is 25 number, where it was fall 4 plus 12, 16 plus 10, 26. So in between 2 and 3, it was fall. So that's why value is 2.5. Plus 0.50, it is a constant for scale value, minus 0.32. How it's come? Because it is a sum of proportion below the interval in which fall. Your interval fall in between. So below the interval, the value is 0.32. That's why we put this value to sum of proportion. It is a cumulative proportion. That's why sum of proportion below the interval in which median fall, that will be 0.32, and only proportion within the interval. Within the interval it was fall. That's why 0.2 is the proportion within the interval, and multiply by 1, because the interval between this is 1. That's why it is a 1. So we have a scale value 3.4. I hope that you are understanding better with this table. So now with the same manner, again and again, I am repeating how 75th percentile is calculated. Here, 75% of 50 is 37.5. And where it will be placed? Say again, we are calculating 4, 12, 10, and 20. So in between 3 and 4, it will be fall. That's why lower limit will be 3.5, 75th quartile. That's why it is 0.75. And cumulative proportion 0.52, proportion within the interval 0.4, multiply by 1. That's why the 75th value, centile value will be 4.07. We have calculated median value, that is scale value, and 75th centile. Now we will calculate 25th centile, 25% of 50. 25% of 50 will be fall in between 12.5. So this is the in between 1 and 2, it will be fall. That is the lower limit of the scale in which 25th centile fall, because the value is 12.5. 4 plus 12, it is 16, and in between this somewhere lower limit is fall. So plus 0.25 minus sum of proportion below the interval, that is 0.08, and proportion within the interval 0.24. That's why 25th percentile value will be 2.2. So with this we have 3 value. So the difference between 75th centile and 25th centile, thus we measure that 4.07 minus 2.2 is equal to 1.87. This is the now quartile value. This is quartile value, and we have calculated 3.4 scale value. Now, as earlier stated, that when the statement having higher scale value than the quartile value, that statement will be selected. So statement 2 was selected in this case. out of similar scale value among some of the statement having lowest Q value were selected. Say for the example, some of the statements having 1.73, 1.73, 1.73 scale value, but their interquartile range was not similar. It is differed here. So the scale having lowest Q value 0.96 will be selected and other two are rejected. Again, I am repeating, earlier 38 were collected. Out of these, 18 were selected, and then based on the scale value and Q value, final selection of the statements were done. That is, only 14 statements are selected based on this S value and Q value. So this is the scale to measure agro-based enterprise, but whether it is reliable or not. Because if we are developing scale, but if it is not reliable, then we can't use this scale. The number of statements are here, number of things we have calculated, that is scale value and Q value. But if it is not reliable, it can't measure constantly with the same result. So we can't use this scale for the measurement of attitude towards agro-based enterprise. So let us see how reliability we can calculate. Reliability of scale, it is split half taking. Finally, 14 statements we are divided into 7 even numbered and 7 odd number. And this scale is administered to 25 students. That 14 statements at a time given to 25 students, out of which 7 are evenly arranged and 7 are odd numbered arranged. Now with this formula, we can measure coefficient of reliability. This is coefficient of reliability is equal to 1 minus variance of total difference divided by variance of total score. You can you have to measure with formula that whether our scale is reliable or not. How it is in next slide we can see. So when the 14 statements were divided into 2 equal half, each of the 2 sets were treated as separate scale having obtained 2 score for each of the 25 respondents, and coefficient of reliability between the 2 set of score was calculated by rule formula. It was given by Gulford, and this was found 0.72. So it is highly reliable scale. One can say that it is highly reliable because if you have the reliability coefficient above 0.5, then you can say that it is reliable, but about 0.7, then highly reliable scale. So how it is, we can see. This is the arrangement of score from the respondent. These are the number of respondent. It will be continued on next slide. Total score of odd statements, 26. Total score of even statements, 27. In next column, difference between this is -1. And when we found d square, that is the square of difference, that is 1. Total score of odd and even statements, that is 26 plus 27, 53. And total square of total score will be 2809 value. In this manner, all the scores are arranged in the sheet, and then you have to calculate for 25 students for each of the statements. Say for in next slide we can see. Yes, for 25 students, last line or last row indicate 27, that is odd value, 27 even value, no difference, no square of difference, but total is 54 and square of total score is 2916. Now by adding this value, that is summation of difference, we get 38. Summation of square of difference, we get 131. Summation of total, 1331. And summation of square of total, 71133. This value is important for us to measure the reliability. let us apply this value to the Rulon's formula. See, from slide we have collected this value. Now apply on this, that is reliability coefficient, this variance of those two difference, variance of total score, and number of respondents. So by applying this value to the variance of difference, we found the value variance of difference is 2.9296, and with the same manner variance of total score 10.8224. So by applying this value to the formula, we have a reliability 0.72. I hope that you are understanding better with this table that how reliability is measured, and if there is no reliability or consistency in our scale, we can't use this scale for the measurement of attitude scale. So simply by formatting the attitude scale, we can't say that yes, we developed the scale, but whether it is reliable, you have to find out with this manner. Validity of the scale. Validity of the scale was examined for content validity by determining how well content were selected by discussing it with specialists. Here, it was discussed with extension educationists and statistician. Thus, the present scale satisfied the content validity. So now we can say that, yes, we can use this 14 statement to measure attitude towards the agro-based enterprise. It was developed by Patel MC in 2008, by me in 2008, and on the basis of these statements, one research work was also done by one of the PG student of extension education. So scoring technique as per Likert was 1 to 14. You have to collect 1 to score of all the statements, and for positive statements like this, for negative statements, reverse scoring, and to know level of attitude towards agro-based enterprise, score of each statement will be sum up. This is the method how to develop the scale, how to find out the reliability, and how one can measure the attitude towards the any subject. Again, I am quoted another scale that is towards agro processing. As we know, there is a age of startup India. You have to develop number of scale to start agro based some units or some enterprise, or either they are positive towards that or not. So again, with the same manner, it was collection of statements, editing of statements, judges rating, and with determination of this value, again it was found reliability with split half technique 0.83. And it was developed by one of the students of extension, PG student of extension education in 2012, and it was used by the researcher. So this is the final statements, how it is developed, and 16 statements were the attitude scale for measurement of attitude scale towards the agro processing. As we know that in agro processing, number of perishable agricultural products, especially horticultural products, which are going for waste. So if they are they know that attitude toward agro processing, so they are positive towards the agro processing or not. So one can decide that either they are neutral or negative. So one can decide that you have to conduct some training on agro processing and give them knowledge as per as skill towards the agro processing, so they can start at their area this from this perishable item some income generating items. So with this, this scale is available for measuring agro processing. Now, similarly, third scale, method of scoring of this agro processing, 16 statements. Here I have given one another measurement, that if you don't want to measure low, medium, high, then this is the another measurement that you can place your respondent on this scale. This is the scaling and this is the measurement. So minimum score one can get was 16 and maximum score 80. How it is 80? Because 16 multiplied by 5, that is 80. So range between these two is 64. 80 minus 16, that is range between these is 64. And as there are 5 categories, you are divided into 5. You can divide 7, 9 number of categories as per precision you want. So here, as I have divided 5 categories, so I have divided 64 by 5 and the value is 12.5. So this is the interval scale. That's why you have to value in between equally distance. So up to 28.8. How it comes 28.8, 16 is the minimum score plus 12.8, that is 28 point. So up to 28.8 most unfavorable, then 28.8 again 12.8, we will get 41.6. With 41.61 again add 12.8, we will get 54.4. And in this manner, most favorable attitude, if they have a value on this category. So when you are placing your respondent on this value, that is the scaling technique of that scale. And for agro processing, this is the arbitrary method of here no statistics are used. It is the arbitrary method. You can use whenever you want, but it is not statistically. If you want to use statistically, then you have to calculate standard deviation and mean, and with the low, medium, high, you can found the level of attitude scale. Another scale was, here title is that is agribusiness anxiety. This title is agribusiness anxiety. As we know, anxiety is a fear or nervousness. We can't say it is a depression, but it is a fear towards the object. It is a nervousness toward the object. If a person have a anxiety toward agribusiness, so we can't say they can start the agribusiness. Number of factors are affecting towards that. That is their low level of self-confidence, low level of achievement motivation, parental background, parental income. Number of factors affect that. Or either postgraduates or more than that education people don't employ in business. They want to fix salary income employment. So they can't go for agribusiness. We can't say that it is a depression, but we can say that yes, it is their anxiety towards the agribusiness. For that, there are 18 statements where finally selected to with the scale value and Q value, and this attitude scale was highly appreciated by ICAR, as well as it is available in Google also. It is developed by Patel MC, myself, in 2008, and one thesis is also done on, one research work is also done on all the students of SAUs of Gujarat. So measurement of level of agribusiness anxiety. The scale consists of 18 statements, as we have seen in earlier slide, with 9 of positive and 9 negative statements. The responses are collected in 5 content. Here reverse scoring is given because of this word. That is, nervousness is a negative characteristics of the people. So we can say that strongly agree, undecided disagree, and strongly disagree. For negative statements, it was 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. But in earlier scale, for positive statement, this was given. But as per for the anxiety, it was given for negative statements 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and reverse scoring for the positive statements. So it was all the score was sum up, and higher the score. Let us look here. Higher the score, higher was the business anxiety. And lower the score, lower was the business anxiety, because we have developed this type of measurement technique. And now respondents were classified into three groups. Here value I have given, that mean is 67.03 and SD is 6.97. So we can divide into three categories based on that: low, medium, high. Low, that is mean minus SD; medium, mean plus minus and plus SD; and high, above 73.93 score. That is the high level of business anxiety, that is mean plus SD. So by this is the on which we are placing our respondents, that is 22, 66 and 32. This is the scaling technique, that we are placing our respondent on score, and based on that it was seen that majority of the students of SAUs of Gujarat were 55% and 26.67% had a medium to high level of business anxiety. We can't say that number of factors are affecting to have this medium to high level of business anxiety. One relationship I have given here for a relationship or agribusiness anxiety with the characteristics of the students. Here NS means non-significant and S means this star is a significant result. So we can say that family occupation, basic knowledge of internet, self-confidence, risk orientation and achievement motivation like factors are negatively significant with the agribusiness anxiety. Or we can say that those students who have a higher level of agribusiness anxiety had a low level of basic knowledge of internet, low level of self-confidence, low level of risk orientation, and low level of achievement motivation. This was studied by Gadvi BG in 2012 on students of SAUs of Gujarat. So not only development of skill, but we can measure attitude. We can compare the attitude between two groups. We can relate the attitude with other characteristics by which one can say that these characteristics are significantly affected towards the scale, and this scale, irrespective type of native, that either rural or urban, either number of knowledge they know or not know, that is the meaning of negative significant. So another fourth example, that is measurement of entrepreneurial competency. It was the competency was listed by the McLean DC in 1969. Initiativeness, activism, persistence, information-seeking behavior, job excellence, commitment to work contract, efficiency orientation, planning orientation, tackleness, self-confidence, assertiveness, persuasion, and use of influence technology. By this word, we can't measure initiativeness. You have to develop some list of statements, then you can measure initiativeness. So for that, they have listed some, each of the 13 competency had 5 statements. So total statements will be 13 into 5, 65, but each of the competency had 5 statements. One was negative and other 4 was positive. Scale used in this questionnaire was based on 5-point Likert scale with very well 5 score, well 4 scores, score, somewhat 3, very little 2, and not at all 1 score. And for positive statements, reverse scoring; for negative statements, arbitrary method of classification. Again, I think you are better understand with the earlier slide, that is what is arbitrary method. Here 5 statements measured by 5 continuum. So maximum score for each of the 13 competency was 25 and minimum score is 5. So range is 20 and interval between each category is 4, 20 by 5, that is 4. So that's why 5 plus 4, 9, 9 plus 4, 13, 13 plus 4, 17, 17 plus 4, 21, and 21 plus 4, that is 25. So minimum score one can get at very low category, this one, and maximum, that is this score for highest category of uh, competency of that one of the competency of out of 13 competency. So in this manner, all the competency had their separate scale, and total of all the competency will become the overall competency of the person or whatever you want to measure. See another example for weightage score or index score, how we can give, say for example, internet exposure of the respondents. Exposure again is a very big word, and you have to find out number of things in exposure. As in you are going with internet, so you have to find out first total 10 indicators were used to find out the exposure. Experience of internet use in year. Experience in the year, it will give you quantitative data. So measure that quantitative data and place on the scaling. Frequency of internet use, second one. It is, you have to develop like this table, that frequency of internet every day, twice in a week, once in a week, fortnight, month, 3 months, 6 months, or year. Now how it will score? Up to 1 hour, 2 to 3 hour, above 3 hour, as there is a 8 category and 3 continuum, maximum score will be 8 into 3, that is 24 score. By this method, where respondent give the response, that will be the score of the frequency of internet use. By this way, all the indicators are measured with a separate table, and total of these 10 indicator will be the exposure of the respondents. But still we are churning this by the judges, how it is. Overall exposure of the internet. Here 10 indicators of the indicators, they are assigning to 20 experts, that out of 100, you give the score on 10 indicators. Total score should be 100, but you may give here 16, here 14, or some, whatever you like most. As per that, you give the score, but your score should be only 100. So out of 20 experts, we collect them, and mean score of each indicators were calculated. That will be the weightage score of indicator. So by applying that score plus in early slide received score, one can find out overall internet exposure index. That is here received score by respondent, maximum score that we have calculated here 24, multiply by weightage score plus all the indicators, and total of this will become overall internet exposure index. So summary, it is summarized that attitude is an important in understanding the behavior of person. Efforts are made by a number of scientists to develop and standardize attitude scale. Here we have given 3 to 4 scale, how it is developed and what is the value of reliability. So detailed procedure for developing this attitude scale are discussed for benefits of student. I quoted one thing here, that alphabet of attitude is A, T, T, I, T, U, D, E. When we putting value from these our alphabets, this is the only word in the dictionary who gets the 100 score. So attitude is a very big word, and when you are developing scale, you are measuring the quality of the respondents. Now, lastly, I hope that by understanding and by watching or by learning, I hope that you reach here. I can do it at least. I can do it at least, or lesser than. I will try to do it. Then after, definitely I am sure that you will do it and I will get the answer. Yes, I did it. So thank you for this lecture. And again, I am thankful to PI that Dr. Pundir sir, their team, and Misra madam to share my knowledge to the students in terms of this class.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now I'll be asking few questions. If you want to take 2 minutes of break, that will be okay.
Yes.
Okay. So we have received a number of questions. You have described about third stone scale earlier.
Yes.
And there you said that we have to judge our statements with the help of the experts. Like we go to the experts and then we ask.
Yes.
But they also have their attitude biasness in that.
Yes.
So how to overcome this problem?
Yes, you personally need to judge, describe your research work on which you are going to conduct the research, and say them that being a judge, you respond on each of the statements that don't give your attitude that you are agree with these statements, but on the basis whether by including these statements one can measure the attitude scale or not. If they are agree, yes, by including these statements, they will rate that. If the statement is negative, in fact, that they will rate that strong. I am strongly agree, because of only including of that statements they can rate, but don't give their own attitude. So for that you have to go personally to the judge and say them, not only on paper, that yes, you judge the statements, otherwise they can't understand your questions and they will give their own attitude.
Okay.
I hope that you are understanding better. Say, for example, I am giving you one paper that you, as experts, you give me the response that I feel tension to start the business. May it, you are agree with that, that by including that statements, one can measure the attitude toward agro-based enterprise, or you are giving your attitude that, yes, I am feeling tension to start business. So in that manner, judges are requested.
Okay. And ma'am, that means that all those statements which are coming under strongly agree and strongly disagree, we have to include in our questionnaire.
Judges are, if they are strongly disagree, they are automatically eliminated from the.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Ma'am. Got that point. Another question is, what is the difference between attitude and behavior, and which is more influential to see the customer buying behavior?
Yes, very good question. I hope that you are asking this type of question. Attitude is a combination of three parts, three components. That is your feeling, emotion. Emotion is different than the behavior. As a social science person, we understand that what is emotion and what is behavior. Behavior is your action, and emotion by looking how you are feeling. That is the emotion. So attitude is a combination of emotion, their knowledge. When person having a knowledge, say for example, I have a knowledge of organic farming, then I believe, yes, one can start organic. But if I don't have a knowledge of organic, I can imagine that no, organic farming is costly, I can't do that. So on the basis of knowledge and belief, there is a one component of attitude, and in behavior, without thinking, we are acting sometimes. That is our behavior, negative behavior. But positive behavior, once you are little bit thinking or superficial thinking, and immediately behave on that work. So that is the difference between behavior. Behavior is a one of the component of attitude.
Okay.
That is the
Okay.
basic difference.
Okay, ma'am. Another question is, does attitude scale uncover truth in brain patterns for decision making, as they are neurobiological for brain function, which is the basis for human behavior? It has
It is,
come from the participant.
yes, but it is not related to this, but I can say that it is a our mental position. In internet, it is described as our mental position. Sometimes what happen, quality of the person, sometimes happen from their body also, not only the mental part. So that participate ask on that days that what is the mental part. But in our social science, we are taking both the part, that is how your body and mental both are relatively act on that particular objects.
Okay. Okay, ma'am.
It is not the mental disorder. Anxiety is not mental disorder. It is a nervousness towards the object, like that.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. The next question is, what factors generally improve rating of reliability, inter-rater reliability?
Based on your statements and based on arrangement of your statements, based on selection of your statements. If you are selected totally negative statements, then may it be the difference in score. If you are selecting balancing statements and you are covering whole area of that subject, that is the big essay, you have to first form in subjective form from each of the corner. If you are getting the statements, then you have a better reliability. Otherwise, some part is lacking, may give the wrong result, and reliability may affect.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. What are the requirements? What are the requirements of developing a scale of rating for assessment of specific statements?
Pardon?
What are the requirements of developing a scale of rating for assessment of specific statements?
It is nothing, only continuum. You may arrange in continuum.
Okay.
And you can give, two scientists give us already developed research work was done by them, that in number of pile you are rating the statements, that is from thrust on, and in 5 continuum you may measure with the Likert, and in rating negative and positive by semantic differentiate scale. So no need to develop another one. If you want to develop another one, again you have to go to judges, again you have to, because in research you have to prove everything.
Right.
It is a challenge. Some one can challenge you, yes, this is wrong, this is right. So from any corner one can verify your result, one can verify your development. That is the base. So that's why we are using Likert and thrust on. We can do that, but it takes another work to develop that categories.
Okay, ma'am. And the next question is, if we find some factor as a result of factor analysis, in factor analysis we also develop a type of scale. We write the statements and then we find out the factors. So should we report alpha as an indication of scale reliability for each factor identified?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, and ma'am, these are the questions for the agribusiness students because they always go for conducting survey for the, and they have to find out the perception of farmers regarding a product and the preference for the products. So, what are the scales that can be used for estimating or determining the perception of farmers and preference?
Preference and perception,
Perception.
both are
It's
different.
different completely. Yeah.
Perception, when they are not 100% sure, they are giving some perception. Preference is a when they are using that product, or they have a experience, then among some products they giving the that is rating,
Ranking. Yeah. Yes.
ranking, that this is the first, second. But in perception, that is not happen. So again, you have to say some statement, not need to develop, but from each and every corner, you have to define some statements ways that they can say that yes, I have pursued or not pursued. And based on that, yes or no, you can, for yes, you can give 2 score or 1 score, for no, 0 score. On basis of that, you can calculate their perception. Number of studies are available in extension education based on this perception. If they go to the library, number of research work is done, how perception is measured. It is a detailed.
Okay, ma'am. Then
by
preferences.
by asking question to the farmers, you can't measure the perception.
Right, right.
By asking question that with a close-ended words, you can find out the preference, but you can't measure the perception.
So for preferences, we can go for ranking also. We can ask which one is better. For perception, we have to have a certain scale.
Yes.
Okay. And ma'am, those scales which are
better is don't go for open-ended, you go for close-ended, so they can rank, or they can give the score. In continuum, you in measurement technique, you decide that on which continuum which score will be assigned, and based on that you can calculate, yes, their perception is high or low. Basic method is this. Otherwise, they are collecting some statements and saying that perception is low, perception is medium, or perception is high. But basic method is this.
Okay. So whatever scales that are available in thesis or that has been done by some other person, can we utilize that scale as it is by just changing the name of the product or few statements?
No, you can't change that.
Okay.
There is a wide difference between biofertilizer and liquid biofertilizer. You can't say that. If you want to develop the scale, then you can, but you can't change by the name that, because it is developed for particular object.
So the object remains the same, like it is for some seed, wheat seed. Then the other one is for cotton seed. So can we use the same?
No.
Okay. That also we cannot use.
Yes.
So the product has to be similar.
Yes.
Like if I'm talking about food grain seeds, so what if the scale is developed on wheat, so we can utilize that scale for rice?
If more precisely, you also not utilize that.
So we have to develop every time, no ma'am?
Yes. Or if you want to do more precisely, then because there is a wide difference between wheat and rice.
Agree. There is difference between the
their
varieties also.
Cultivation, their price. All are different, so you can't use that word, or you can't say that yes, wheat is same as a rice and we can use this scale to the rice or maize or what, sorghum or whatever. You have to develop with that object and take collection from sorghum or from rice or from maize. It is you may see that there is a wide difference between them.
Okay. So every time we are doing some perception, preference, or attitude scale, we need to develop it for certain products. We have to
Yes.
develop it for our own study.
Yes. I think that it is not hard, but it needs more attention. It is not hard. One can do this, but it requires more attention.
Okay, okay, ma'am. So with this, I think I have covered all the questions also. One last question, ma'am. In
Yes.
opinion slide that you have shown, you have selected there. You said that there were 38 statements in the beginning, and then
Yes.
you selected 26 statements out of that. How you have selected those 26 statements? On what
As
basis?
yes, as edited by criteria given by Edward.
Okay, so
I
there is some
give
difference, huh?
yes. I have collected that statements, but final list I edited with the criteria given by the Edward. And from that criteria, I have finally, that is the collection of statements, but selection of statements is that
Done
is
on the basis of
28.
the criteria. Okay.
Yes.
With this, ma'am, I have covered, I think, all the questions of the
Thank
participants
you
and
very
mine
much.
also. Thank you so much, ma'am. It was a wonderful lecture. You have taught us like a teacher is teaching in the class. And we are clear about many topics which we weren't before your class. So thank you so much, ma'am. We are glad that we invited you here for this scaling technique.
I am thankful to Dr. Pundir sir.
Yes, sir.
He offered me, and I am thankful to you. You are conducting this class, and whenever you want on this topic, I will be there.
Thank you so much. We will be calling you again, ma'am, for this.
Okay, okay.
Thank you so much. So for the participants, tomorrow we have lecture on regression at 10 a.m. and another session on the same topic, regression at 3 p.m. So be there.